Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be looking at Leonardo da Vinci, but not just as, the Renaissance artist, but as a true universal genius. I mean, you think of da Vinci, you probably think Mona Lisa, but we're going way beyond the paintings. We're going to be looking at his notebooks, thousands of pages of secrets hidden for centuries. Really. This is exciting stuff. I mean, before modern tech was even a thing, da Vinci was already grappling with ideas that, well, they foreshadowed cars and even helicopters. To help me unpack all this genius, we have our expert.
It really is a privilege to be able to dive into these notebooks. They're just incredible.
So, okay, let's start with something that I find really mysterious, the mirror code. Da Vinci wrote everything backwards, right to left. Why?
Well, a lot of people ask that. It's fascinating, really. You see, for Da Vinci, being left-handed, it actually was natural for him to write that way. And it also helped prevent smudging, with the quill and ink. But I think there's also something else going on. That element of secrecy, Da Vinci. He was very protective of his ideas.
Yeah, it's almost like he knew these notebooks would be studied, for centuries to come.
Exactly. These were much more than just sketches. They were like his daily journals. Imagine sometimes 3 pages a day, filled with everything. Observations, ideas, just everything that was in his mind. He wasn't just obsessed with these grand inventions. He was also writing about the everyday things, shopping lists, even funny things that he noticed about dogs, just like we would today.
It's incredible. We get to see this brilliant mind at work,
Yeah.
but then we also get this glimpse into his personality.
And what's so fascinating is how these seemingly really ordinary details, they actually reveal so much about his inner conflicts, his humor, his humanity. I mean, he's this giant of history, but you really see him as a person.
Yeah. And now, here's where it gets even more interesting, right? Da Vinci actually called himself uneducated because he never learned Latin, the language of all the scholars back then. He even kind of dismissed his critics. He said that their words were as meaningful as, well, let's just say he wasn't afraid to be a little bit cheeky.
He really wasn't. He valued experience and direct observation more than just reading what other people had written. And that was, let me tell you, that was radical for the 15th century. Really, it challenged the whole dominance of the church, when it came to knowledge and, really paved the way for modern scientific thinking.
It did. So he's a rebel, but he's also deeply insightful. Take, for example, his study of the Arno Valley. He's looking at how water erodes rocks. And he concludes that the earth must be much older than what the Bible said.
Wow.
Which, that was dangerous back then.
Oh, it was a very dangerous conclusion at the time. Challenging the church's view of the world could have, serious consequences.
Yeah.
But Da Vinci, his curiosity, it was just relentless. He had conflicting feelings about religion himself. He would participate in prayer groups. But at the same time, he was questioning biblical events like the Great Flood. He was a complicated guy.
He was a very complicated guy. But, he was driven by ambition. He wanted that lasting fame. And back then, that meant engineering feats, not just paintings.
Right. It's all about the Duomo of Florence, isn't it? This incredible cathedral. It was the pinnacle of engineering. And it really seems to have inspired Da Vinci's own inventive spirit.
And here's where we start to see him, being centuries ahead of his time.
Absolutely. Hidden in his notebooks are these drawings. And they're so detailed. They're drawings of machines that seem like they're from the future. He envisioned a self-propelled cart, basically what we would call a proto-car. Centuries before cars even existed, he designed an automatic loom, a flying ship. It looks like a shuttle. It predates the helicopter by hundreds of years. It's mind-blowing.
It really is. It's like he was peering into the future. And these weren't just like rough sketches.
No. He was using exploded diagrams, like the ones we use today, to show how all these machines would work. That visualization technique. For his time, it was incredibly innovative.
It was. And of all his engineering ambitions, it seems like flight was his ultimate obsession. He truly believed that humans could conquer the air, centuries before the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
So where did that come from?
Well, he was a keen observer of nature. He studied birds endlessly, their wing structure, how they generated lift. He even compared bat wings to bird wings, and he noted that bats could actually lift heavier objects. And he wasn't just theorizing. He built this test rig. Picture this, a 70-kilogram board. And he's actually trying to make it fly using his wing design.
He really was a hands-on genius. He was serious about this.
Completely. He started with designs that had flapping wings, but then he shifted to gliding. And you know what? His designs actually look like the hang gliders that we have today. There's even this anecdote that he planned to test fly his glider. off a hill near Florence, and he even thought about safety precautions. He was going to wrap himself in wineskins so he wouldn't drown if he crashed into the Arno River.
Okay. That's both brave and, a little crazy.
It is. It is. I think it shows his willingness to push boundaries. He was willing to risk failure to get knowledge.
He was. So even if his flying machines never really took off, they represent something. An incredible leap of imagination.
Absolutely. Hundreds of years before powered flight was even a thing, Da Vinci was already envisioning a world where humans could soar through the skies.
Amazing. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about his anatomical studies. This is another area where he was really pushing boundaries in the 15th century.
Oh, absolutely. You look at his drawings of the human heart, and they are unbelievably accurate. I mean, they look like they came out of a modern medical textbook.
He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty.
Not at all. He was dissecting bodies, studying muscles, bones, organs in such detail. And you have to remember, this is a time with no refrigeration,
Nah.
no sterilized tools. The conditions he was working in would make a modern-day doctor faint.
Yeah, probably. It takes a certain type of personality to do that.
It really does. And he even developed these groundbreaking techniques. I mean, he pioneered the idea of injecting wax into organs to preserve their shape. This is centuries before it became standard practice.
Always innovating. Was there any part of the body that particularly fascinated him?
Well, he seemed very interested in the womb and fetal development. You look at his drawings and you see this profound curiosity about the process of life itself.
So he wasn't just this cold scientist. There was a real sense of awe and wonder in his work.
Definitely. And you know what? It all connects back to his big idea. Da Vinci saw the human body as a reflection of the earth. He saw veins and arteries as rivers, the bones as mountains. It was all interconnected, mirroring the larger systems of the natural world.
It's fascinating. So what Leonardo knew wasn't just facts. It was this way of seeing the world, connecting art, science, nature, in this truly unique way. And of course, this brings us to the Mona Lisa. I mean, more than just a pretty face, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it embodies everything we've been talking about. His understanding of anatomy, geology, optics, even the passage of time. It's all right there in that painting.
So it's like a culmination of all his pursuits.
Exactly. Even that background landscape. It isn't just scenery. It reflects his geological knowledge. It shows layers of time, erosion, everything.
So it's not just a portrait. It's like a microcosm of Da Vinci's entire worldview.
Precisely.
Wow. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our Da Vinci deep dive, but we're just getting started. Join us next time as we explore even more of Da Vinci's incredible inventions and discoveries.
Yeah.
You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the mind of Leonardo da Vinci. Last time we were talking about his secret mirror code writing and his, rebellious approach to knowledge and those amazing inventions. But we're really just scratching the surface of what this Renaissance man was capable of.
I know, right? It's incredible. So today we're going even deeper. We're going to be exploring Da Vinci's fascination with the human body and how it all connects to his art. Get ready for some anatomy lessons, folks, but not the kind you had in school.
Oh, no.
We're talking about Da Vinci dissecting bodies, studying muscles and bones, organs. It was groundbreaking. And let's be honest, a little bit creepy.
It was definitely controversial back then. I mean, can you imagine? No refrigeration, no sterilized tools. He was working in conditions that would make a modern doctor, well, probably faint.
Yeah, I think I'd probably throw up. But you got to give him credit. The guy was dedicated. And you look at his drawings, they're incredibly detailed, almost like looking at a modern medical textbook.
They really are. It's amazing. He was able to translate what he saw onto the page, all those intricacies of the human form, just with incredible precision.
It's like he was trying to understand the human machine,
Yeah.
piece by piece.
And that's a great way to put it. He really saw the body as this complex system, all these interconnected parts, each with its own function.
So was he like cold and clinical about it? Or did he see, beauty in the human form too?
That's a really interesting question. While Da Vinci was clearly fascinated by, the mechanics of the body, his studies also informed his art. He really believed that to create realistic and expressive figures, you needed to understand how muscles work, how bones articulate, everything.
It's like his scientific knowledge was actually fueling his artistic vision.
Exactly. He wasn't just painting pretty pictures. He was imbuing his art with this deep understanding of the human form.
Okay, so that makes his paintings even more impressive, right? It's like we're seeing not just the surface, but the inner workings. of the human spirit,
Yeah.
all thanks to his anatomical studies.
That's right. And speaking of spirit, Da Vinci was also fascinated by the soul. He spent a lot of time trying to, well, pinpoint where this intangible essence resided. He was studying the brain.
Did you ever figure it out?
Well, that's a question that, philosophers and scientists are still grappling with today. But what Da Vinci's explorations show us is his relentless curiosity. I mean, he wanted to understand not just the physical body, but the very essence of what makes us human.
And that brings us back to the Mona Lisa. I mean, maybe the most famous example of Da Vinci's ability to capture the human soul on canvas. I mean, there's something about that smile, those eyes, that just draws you in. Centuries later, we're still fascinated by it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's no accident. You see, Da Vinci's mastery of anatomy, it allowed him to create this portrait that's not just lifelike, but emotionally resonant. He understood how even subtle shifts in facial muscles could convey a range of emotions, and he used that knowledge to create a portrait that's both beautiful and totally mysterious.
Like she's looking right through you.
Exactly. That's the power of Da Vinci's art. It transcends, time and place and connects us to something deeper, something universal.
Yeah. It's amazing to think that all of this, the anatomical studies, the scientific inquiries, the engineering, it all led to this one iconic image.
It's incredible. It really is a testament to Da Vinci's genius. I mean, his ability to synthesize knowledge from these completely different fields and create something truly extraordinary.
Absolutely. And we haven't even talked about his flying machines yet. Da Vinci wasn't content with just, dissecting bodies and painting masterpieces. He wanted to conquer the skies.
So how did he approach this? I mean, it seems impossible, especially back then.
Well, Da Vinci always started with observation. He was always looking at the world around him. He spent hours, countless hours, studying birds, documenting everything, their wing structure, their movements, how they interacted with the air.
Always the scientist, even when he was chasing his wildest dreams.
That's right. And from all those observations, he started to design his own flying machines.
So were they anything like the airplanes we have today? Not quite. His early designs, they were focused on ornithopters. Machines that, well, they mimicked the flapping motion of bird wings.
So basically, giant mechanical birds.
Yeah, essentially. He even built a test rig, imagine this, a 70-kilogram board. And he tried to make it lift off using the system of ropes and pulleys.
Wow. He was really committed to making this work.
Oh, he was. But he also came to realize that human muscles, they just weren't strong enough to power sustained flight just by flapping wings.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what did he do?
Well, he shifted his focus to gliding. He designed this contraption. It was kind of like a hang glider with wings made of wood and canvas. He believed it could soar through the air.
Did he ever actually try to fly it?
There's this story that he planned to test fly it off a hill near Florence, and he even had safety precautions. He was going to wrap himself in wineskins, to cushion the impact if he crashed.
A wineskins. Okay, that's both brave and a little bit crazy.
Definitely. It just shows you his willingness to push boundaries, to risk failure in the pursuit of knowledge.
It really does. So even if his flying machines never really took off, they still represent something, right?
They do. They represent an incredible leap of imagination. I mean, centuries before powered flight was even possible, Da Vinci was envisioning this world where humans could soar through the skies.
It's like he could see the future.
In many ways, I think he did. I mean, his notebooks are filled with ideas that wouldn't be realized for, hundreds of years.
It makes you wonder, what if his notebooks had been published, when he was alive? How much faster would scientific progress have been?
That's a question we'll never know the answer to. But his ideas were so far ahead of their time.
They really were. But it's safe to say that Da Vinci was a true visionary, a genius whose impact on the world is still felt today.
Absolutely. And as we continue to explore his notebooks, I'm sure we're going to uncover even more amazing insights into the mind of Leonardo da Vinci.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the mind of Leonardo da Vinci. We've talked about so much. Those mysterious mirror code notebooks, his groundbreaking anatomical studies, and even, his dreams of flight. But as we wrap up our exploration here, I keep coming back to one question. What did Leonardo actually know? I mean, was it just like facts and observations? Or was it something deeper?
That's the question that continues to fascinate all of us, isn't it? I think the answer lies not just in the, specific things he learned, but in how he approached knowledge.
Okay, I'm listening.
Just think about everything we've been talking about. He was constantly observing, questioning, experimenting. He never just settled for easy answers. He wanted to know the why behind everything.
He was like a detective, always searching for clues.
Exactly, and I think that's what really makes him stand out, this incredible curiosity, the willingness to challenge assumptions, to connect ideas that, at first glance, you wouldn't think were related.
So it wasn't just about, memorizing stuff. It was this constant process of discovery and bringing it all together.
Right. That's it. And you know what? That's something we can all learn from Da Vinci, even 500 years later.
Totally.
He's left us this blueprint, almost, for how to be more engaged with the world, how to think more creatively, how to make connections that other people miss.
That's a great way to put it.
He shows us that the knowledge isn't passive. It's something you have to actively cultivate. Through observation, through experimentation, through that relentless pursuit of understanding.
Yeah, and that's a powerful lesson, especially in our world today where it's just, information overload.
Right. It's easy to just get swept up in it all, to passively absorb everything that comes your way. But Da Vinci, he reminds us to slow down, to pay attention, to be more discerning, to always ask why.
To be more like him.
I guess, in a sense, yes. We can all try to be more like Da Vinci in our own way, to be more curious, more observant, more connected to the world around us.
And who knows? Maybe that kind of mindset will lead us to our own groundbreaking discoveries.
I think so.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the mind of Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired and maybe a little bit humbled.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. When you think about the scope of his genius, it's just awe-inspiring. The breadth of his knowledge, his creativity, it's amazing.
It really is.
But it also makes you realize there's always more to learn, more to discover, more connections to be made.
Exactly. Da Vinci's legacy, it's a challenge to all of us. To never stop asking questions, to never stop exploring, and to look at the world with wonder and curiosity.
To embrace that spirit of the Renaissance man, even today.
Even today. So the next time you find yourself captivated by something, whether it's a work of art, a scientific discovery, or even just, something you notice in nature, remember Leonardo da Vinci. Remember that. That drive to understand the world around us, to keep learning, is what makes us human. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.